René Higuita, El Loco. René Higuita didn't just play goalkeeper, he reimagined the position entirely as if he were holding a joystick instead of gloves. The Colombian madman, affectionately nicknamed El Loco, routinely operated 30 to 40 meters away from goal, pioneering the sweeper-keeper role long before Manuel Neuer made it mainstream. But Higuita didn't just flirt with danger, he proposed to it. In the 1990 World Cup, with Colombia tied against Cameroon in the round of 16, Higuita tried to dribble past the legendary Roger Milla. He failed. Colombia went home. His risk tolerance bordered on lunacy. Yet he wasn't just chaos in cleats. His career featured 41 goals, a surreal number for a goalkeeper, mostly from penalties and free kicks. His shot-stopping ability was legit, with save rates reaching 76% in peak seasons. And then, of course, there was that scorpion kick against England in 1995. Entirely pointless, deeply unnecessary, and instantly iconic. René Higuita didn't play within the lines. He painted over them with neon spray paint and danced across the canvas. Paul Gaza Gascoigne, the tragic genius. Paul Gascoigne could glide through defenders like a poet between metaphors, but off the pitch he lived like a human meme long before the internet had caught on. He was football's Shakespearean clown, equal parts brilliance, chaos, and heartbreak. At his peak in the 90s Premier League, Gaza averaged 6.4 progressive carries per 90 minutes, an elite number even by modern standards. He was a genuine midfield engine, but also a showman. He once mocked opposing goalkeepers by pulling faces before free kicks to throw them off. He was a stat sheet anomaly, 0.35 assists per 90, on par with today's elite playmakers. But the football was only half the show. There were prank phone calls, dead fish brought to training, and a legendary appetite for trouble. He once turned up to a press conference in sunglasses and a wig. Another time he brought chicken and beer to try and comfort a fugitive gunman. Gascoigne's story is ultimately one of unfulfilled genius. But for those fleeting moments when the ball was at his feet, he made the sport feel like magic on acid. Mario Balotelli. Why always me? Mario Balotelli was less a footballer and more a walking Easter egg, hidden chaos waiting to be triggered. Possessing strength, finishing, and flair in abundance, he was also his own worst enemy. For every sublime goal, there was an equally baffling moment of self-sabotage. His penalty record? Flawless. 13 out of 13 converted for AC Milan in 2012 to 13. Cold as ice. His expected goals differential? Plus 0.28 per 90. Exceptional for a forward. But his decision making? Somewhere deep in the red. Who else sets their own bathroom on fire with fireworks or gets sent off for attempting a backheel shot mid-game? Balotelli once embodied an entire spectrum of unpredictability in a single match, scoring a wonder goal, earning a yellow for the celebration, disappearing for long stretches, then reappearing with a reckless trick attempt. He was the footballing equivalent of a software glitch in the Matrix. You couldn't coach Mario Balotelli, but you couldn't take your eyes off him either. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, football's walking quote machine. If football were a movie, Zlatan Ibrahimovic would write, direct, and star in it. He's football's self-declared demigod, part athlete, part philosopher, all ego. But behind the braggadocio is a statistical monster. Across a career spanning over 2 decades and 5 countries, Zlatan amassed 34 trophies and over 570 goals. Even at 40, he was contributing 0.77 goals plus assists per 90. Ridiculous output for someone nearly 2 meters tall. He once referred to the ball as his best friend and said he didn't need trials at Arsenal because Zlatan doesn't audition. He's fluent in 5 languages, one of them entirely made of sound bites. With feet like wrecking balls and quotes like weapons, Zlatan is football's Chuck Norris joke that came to life and kept scoring. Eric Cantona, king in kung fu. Eric Cantona didn't just play football, he interpreted it. For Manchester United, he was king, poet, and occasional pugilist. From 1992 to 1997, Cantona helped United to 4 Premier League titles in 5 seasons, often acting as the creative fulcrum and emotional spark. But he's perhaps best known for one of football's most surreal moments, a flying kung fu kick into a Crystal Palace fan who had insulted him. The fallout? A 9-month ban, 120 hours of community service, and an immortal quote at the press conference. When the seagulls follow the trawler, it is because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Nobody knew what it meant. Everyone clapped. Cantona mixed street poetry with street fighting. He wasn't just a player, he was performance art in boots. Carlos Valderrama, the blonde oracle. Carlos Valderrama looked like someone had plucked a disco ball and placed it gently on a football pitch. His trademark blonde afro was so voluminous, it practically needed its own squad number. But behind the wild hair was one of the 90s greatest passers. His vertical passing accuracy hovered around 84%, even on risky through balls. He rarely moved much, averaging just 7.1 kilometers per match, 2 fewer than his teammates. But he saw the pitch like a chess grandmaster. Operating mostly in Zone 14, Valderrama functioned like a spiritual compass, calm, prophetic, and almost supernatural in his ability to predict movement. He didn't just pass the ball, he summoned it into new dimensions. Gennaro Gattuso, the espresso shot. If football were a 5-course meal, Gennaro Gattuso was the espresso doppio, short, intense, and guaranteed to leave a mark. Measuring just 1.77 meters, the Italian midfielder made up for it with relentless energy. From 2003 to 2009 in Serie A, he averaged 4.8 successful tackles and interceptions per 90, often covering for more elegant teammates like Pirlo. But Gattuso was more than just a midfield pit bull. He once told the press, "Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit." He combined brute force with a surprising sensitivity, owning a seafood restaurant in Glasgow and famously cooking for friends. On the pitch, though, he was pure combustion. Vinnie Jones, from Hatchet Man to Hollywood. Before he became a movie star, Vinnie Jones terrorized football pitches across England. He was less a player and more an enforcer, football's version of a nightclub bouncer. His reputation? 12 red cards, an English record for years, and a style of play closer to street fighting than tiki-taka. His passing accuracy, a paltry 57%, but passing was never the point, intimidation was. Jones helped Wimbledon pull off their famous 1988 FA Cup upset over Liverpool, a result that cemented the Crazy Gang legacy. A decade later, he was starring alongside Brad Pitt in Snatch. On some level, he had always been auditioning. Jorge Campos, the 1.68 meter superhero. Jorge Campos was a walking contradiction, a goalkeeper who stood just 1.68 meters tall, a shot stopper who scored 34 career goals, occasionally switching to striker mid-game. If that weren't enough, he designed his own kits, blinding neon explosions of color that looked more like fruit salad than sportswear. He embodied pure flair, pure chaos. Campos played over 400 professional matches in goal, plus nearly 30 as a striker in Liga MX. His athleticism defied physics. He wasn't just a player, he was a one-man Marvel spin-off. Diego Maradona, the hand of God, heart of chaos. Maradona was the ultimate contradiction, divinely gifted, deeply troubled, and impossibly human. In the 1986 World Cup, he produced arguably the greatest individual tournament ever. 5 goals, 5 assists, and 53 successful dribbles. He didn't just carry Argentina, he levitated them. But off the pitch, he was a magnet for mayhem. Doping bans, drug addiction, political alliances with Fidel Castro, and a variety show called La Noche del Diez, all part of the legend. On the field, though, he was almost untouchable. From 1984 to 1991 in Serie A, he averaged 4.7 completed dribbles per 90, numbers now associated only with Messi. Maradona danced on the edge of greatness and collapse, and the world couldn't look away.